Picture this. You're standing on the bridge of a massive cargo ship.
Oh, yeah, we're talking a vessel that weighs, like, 100,000 tons.
Exactly. 100,000 tons loaded to the absolute brim with millions of dollars of goods. And you are navigating through this really dense, highly congested coastal channel.
Which is stressful enough on a good day.
Right. But then suddenly, a massive squall hits. The rain is just coming down so hard, so fast, that your visibility drops to absolute zero in an instant.
You're completely blinded.
Literally, you look out those massive glass windows on the bridge and you see nothing but a wall of gray water. So you check your radar, hoping to, find the safe path.
But the heavy rain is actually scattering the radar waves.
Yeah, it turns your screen into this useless, cluttered mess of static. So you're essentially flying blind in a colossal metal building, moving through a narrow, shallow trench.
It's a terrifying scenario.
So how do captains not crash when this happens? Well, increasingly, they are starting to rely on these invisible digital ghosts in the water.
Digital ghosts. I love that phrasing.
Yeah, it's wild. We are looking at some really fascinating research today for our deep dive, notably this incredible article by Captain Raghu Sharma from the DeepDraft. It's titled Smart and Virtual Buoys, Navigating the Future of Maritime Safety.
And we also have a whole stack of these detailed visual schematics and photographs of modern maritime equipment to go through.
Right. So our mission today is to figure out how we're evolving from relying on these physical steel buoys to utilizing an invisible digital safety net and what that actually means for the future of maritime safety.
Which is a massive shift. And
yeah.
I want to explicitly frame exactly why this matters to you, the listener, right up front, because you really don't need to be a sailor to appreciate this.
No, not at all.
This is a perfect case study of how one of the most ancient, physical, heavy industries in human history is being completely rewired by the Internet of Things.
Yeah, when you digitize physical reality, things get crazy.
Exactly. When you take something that used to be made of riveted iron and turn it into code, you introduce very real dangers alongside the benefits.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because to understand this invisible digital safety net, we first have to look at how the physical buoys themselves have evolved.
Right. They aren't just floating markers anymore.
Not even close. I was looking at this NOAA buoy illustration from our sources earlier, and I was genuinely shocked. I expected, like, a floating bell, maybe a blinking light.
Instead, you get a floating laboratory.
Seriously. To paint a picture for you, high above the water, you have this towering mast equipped with a full weather station. It's measuring wind speed, wind direction, barometric pressure.
It's packed with tech.
Yeah, it has solar panels all over it, webcams, even lightning rods to protect the equipment, and then beneath the surface, it gets even crazier.
That's where the real magic happens.
Right, there are wave sensors, a water current profiler, and then a mooring line plunges deep into the ocean, all the way to the anchor. And that line is just strung with light penetration sensors, temperature gauges, water quality sensors.
They're measuring everything under the sun.
Literally. Dissolved oxygen, chlorophyll, blue-green algae, pH, turbidity. But here's where I get confused. Why on earth does a cargo ship captain care about blue-green algae to avoid a crash?
Well, they don't. And that is kind of the secret to how this massive infrastructure got built in the first place.
Oh, really?
Yeah, long before anyone in the maritime industry was calling these things smart buoys, the scientific community was deploying ODAS. That stands for Ocean Data Acquisition Systems.
Okay, so they were science experiments, basically.
Exactly. Our sources show historical images of these massive yellow ODA buoys and these sniffer buoys covered in vertical arrays of solar panels. They were strictly for climate studies and weather forecasting.
Oh, I see.
But as the tech got better, port authorities realized they could take all that dense, localized environmental data and integrate it directly into the e-navigation ecosystem.
So they basically piggybacked on the science buoys.
Totally. And the International Association of Marine Aids to Navigation and Lighthouse Authorities?
So let's just call them IALA for short.
Good call, IAO. They actually recognize 3 distinct types of AIS navigational aids now. Type 1 is a basic system. It just broadcasts its position. Like, I am here.
Okay, pretty straightforward.
Right. Type 2 is a bit smarter. It can receive commands and be remotely configured by a port authority.
Which saves them from having to send a boat out just to change a setting.
Exactly. But Type 3 is the fully integrated smart buoy setup. It takes all that dense data from the sensors and feeds it in real time, not just to nearby ships, but back to shore-based vessel traffic services.
Wow, it sounds like we took the traditional buoy and give it the smart home treatment.
That is a perfect way to put it.
Yeah, it's no longer just a structural pillar holding up a light. It's the ocean's version of a smart thermostat, feeding real-time data back to the bridge.
What's fascinating here is that these buoys don't just exist in isolation anymore. They actively talk to the nearby ships.
How do they do that out in the middle of the ocean?
Well, close to shore, they might use standard cellular like 4G or 5G, but further out, they rely on satellite links like Iridium. And we're seeing emerging methods too.
Like what?
Things like VDES, which is a specialized VHF data exchange, and LoRaWAN, which is a low-power, wide-area network, perfectly suited for bouncing small packets of data over long distances.
Okay, so a smart buoy is incredible, but if physical buoys are now constantly transmitting digital data to ships, what happens when you skip the physical buoy entirely and just send the data?
And that brings us to the concept of virtual buoys.
Right, because I was looking at this compelling image from the sources. It's an electronic navigation chart, an ECDI screen.
Yeah, showing a coastline with those purple traffic lanes.
Exactly. And on this digital map, alongside the physical marks, there are these red circles explicitly labeled virtual AIs and synthetic AIs. What exactly are those?
So virtual buoys are AI-as objects without any physical structure whatsoever. None.
No metal, no blinking light.
Nothing. They are simply digital markers that appear as symbols on a ship's ECDIS or radar overlays. They're just code.
That's wild. What's the point of a buoy you can't hit?
The practical magic is their flexibility. Let's say a barge sinks unexpectedly. In the past, you'd have to physically dispatch a specialized vessel to drop an enormous wreck marker buoy.
Which takes hours or even days.
Exactly. Now, shore authorities can instantly deploy a virtual buoy with a few clicks of a mouse to mark that newly sunken wreck, or to create a dynamic traffic separation scheme, or mark a temporary dredging area.
But wait, I have to push back on this concept. If a virtual buoy is literally just pixels on a screen, isn't that kind of terrifying? Well, if my phone glitches on the highway, I miss an exit. If a screen glitches here, a 100,000-ton cargo ship is suddenly flying blind through a newly discovered shallow patch.
This raises an important question, absolutely. Redundancy is everything.
Right, because there's no physical object for the human lookout to spot.
And that's why, as the Nautical Institute emphasizes, the goal isn't to replace physical markers entirely.
Okay, that's a relief.
Yeah, you want to create a layered navigation safety net. So physical, smart, and virtual buoys all complement each other. The physical buoy is the bedrock, the smart buoy gives you real-time data, and the virtual buoy gives you instant flexibility.
Okay, so we understand the theory of this layered safety net, but I want to know how this actually changes the life of the people steering the ships. You know, data in the midst of a squall.
This is where that vivid real-world anecdote from Captain Raghu Sharma's article really brings it home.
Yeah, the story from Rotterdam. A few years ago, the captain was navigating this highly congested pilotage channel in Rotterdam when that sudden squall we talked about earlier dropped visibility to near zero.
Right, and the radar clutter made finding physical buoys virtually impossible.
But he had a massive advantage.
He did, because the Port of Rotterdam had deployed smart buoys back in 2018.
And because his ship's ECDI was fully integrated with the buoy's AI messages, an overlay appeared directly on the chart.
Which is just incredible timing.
Yeah, it highlighted the recommended track and even warned the bridge of a shallow patch they were approaching. And he noted that it didn't replace the human visual lookout. They were still staring out the windows, but it provided this crucial confidence.
Let's break down the actual workflow of how that save happens, because it's fascinating.
Please do.
So, out in the water, the buoys detect something, like a dangerous current shear. They instantly transmit what's called an AIS message 21.
AIS message 21. Okay.
Yeah, right. The ship receives that radio frequency packet. Now, the ship's standardized ECDIS computer-using software standards like S100 or S124 translates that raw data into a visual graphic on the digital map.
Instantly.
Instantly. The officer of the watch evaluates that visual data against the raw radar, informs the master, and they adjust course before they ever get into trouble.
Here's where it gets really interesting. This seamlessness isn't just happening in Rotterdam.
No, it's a global shift.
We are seeing this everywhere. The sources highlight NOAA's CBABS buoys doing this in the U.S. Kyocera is running smart sensing trials. Singapore has these massive coastal monitoring initiatives.
The safety gains are just undeniable. But of course, there is a dark side to all this data.
Right. The cyber seas, because relying on cloud-based feeds and digital overlays introduces entirely new 21st century dangers to the ancient art of seafaring.
It really does. You have to worry about cybersecurity threats now,
Yeah, the sources explicitly mention AI spoofing attacks.
which is terrifying.
Truly, bad actors can literally manipulate virtual buoy data to actively lead vessels off course. They flood the frequencies with fake messages, and the ship's computer just draws fake virtual buoys on the screen.
And beyond active spoofing, you have the vulnerabilities of the systems themselves. Cloud-based systems can be tampered with. Sensors on a smart buoy can just malfunction from barnacles.
Or a digital marker can just misalign due to a GPS glitch.
Exactly.
There's an image in our sources that perfectly captures this tension for me. It's a photograph of a glowing, traditional gyro compass on a ship's bridge.
Oh, yeah. Such a stark contrast.
Right. It's this deeply physical, mechanical instrument that determines direction based on the literal rotation of the Earth. You contrast that physical mechanics with the digital vulnerability of ECDI's overlays, which can be spoofed by a hacker. It's jarring.
It is. And it's why Captain Sharma states directly in his article, nothing replaces experience and intuition.
You can't just blindly trust the screen.
Never. There is a massive risk of over-reliance on tech. A well-trained captain still has to cross-check all that digital data with traditional radar ranges, taking visual bearings when the weather clears, and using techniques like parallel indexing.
Using the physical world to verify the digital one.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, we see this really profound tension between technological advancement and human vigilance.
Because the sea is unpredictable.
Always. It demands respect. Technology must enhance human judgment, not replace it. The moment a crew assumes the computer is always right, they surrender their situational awareness.
So what does this all mean? How do we balance the incredible safety of smart buoys with the terrifying reality of AI spoofing?
Well, we are rapidly moving toward a dynamic hybrid navigation system. The industry isn't going to abandon the digital tools because they just save too many lives.
And the sources actually show us exactly where the industry is heading.
And the autonomous vessel image,
Yes. There's an AI-generated image in our files of this sleek, modern, autonomous vessel effortlessly navigating past buoys. No crew, no bridge windows.
just algorithms and sensors.
Right. Autonomous vessels will absolutely rely on this web of smart and virtual buoys for safe routing. They can't exist without it.
Which is why the digital infrastructure we are building today is so foundational.
It is. But that leaves you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over.
A provocative one.
Yeah. As our oceans become increasingly covered by this invisible digital safety net, what happens to the innate human intuition of the sailor?
It's a real concern.
If a captain of tomorrow spends their whole career trusting the digital overlay on their screen, rather than feeling the pull of the current or looking for physical markers in the water, will we lose that ancient human ability to read the sea altogether?
And if we do,
Right? When the screens inevitably go dark, who will actually know how to get us home?